I'm very excited for you guys to meet Kevin. Kevin is really just one of the top people that I respect out there. There's a lot of analysts out there, a lot of opinions. First of all, Kevin's always kept it very real. He's always very polite, and he always backs up all of his research with data. He brings a lot of great stuff with the technicals. He really picks high quality assets and just hyper focuses on them instead of just trying to grasp at the next gem. And that's really why I've been following Kevin for so many years now. And, over these last few months, we've gotten to know each other a little bit and built a little bit of a friendship. So I'm excited for him to talk to you guys today. So Gavin, let's bring in Kevin.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, Kevin. I appreciate you coming on. I know our members definitely are going to be excited to kind of hear from you today. Before we get really into talking about cryptocurrency and whatnot, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of your background, how you got into investing crypto, and I believe that you're working at a firm now doing some advising.
Yes, sir. So I'm actually born and raised Chicago, and I had a degree in international business with minors in finance and economics. Grew up, traveling as much as I could. Really kind of lower middle class, typical Chicago family. Loved taking vacations, martial arts, snowboarding. Was actually a professional stuntman in a Lionsgate film. Worked with Channing Tatum as well. And then after that, after my degree, I worked in Argentina for some time. And then shortly after that, with no money, just traveling the world while I was young, always paying attention to finance, watching YouTube finance videos. As soon as I turned 18, my mom actually was like, Kevin, you need to get a Roth IRA. And so she started instilling the importance of investing early on. Watching a lot of the YouTubers, I remember early 2017, they started talking about crypto. And I remember I originally heard about Bitcoin in 2013 from my econ professor. And I had no idea what crypto was. I had no idea what blockchain was. I just thought it was a chain of blocks that looked like Legos.
Right.
And when he was explaining basically the ramifications of a digital currency peer-to-peer system, he basically just said it was like Chinese electronic money. Nobody knows the owner. And I didn't see that as an investment opportunity. I was sitting in the back of my econ class and I had a buddy trading marijuana penny stocks. And then I started doing FX trading in 2015. So I didn't realize the opportunity. Then later in 2017, some YouTubers that I watched for finance saw the hype of Bitcoin. They started talking about this early 2017. XRP was at half a penny. I didn't do anything. Do anything. I watch it, and then I see videos months later in, April, May. XRP just did a 1,000% move from half a penny to 5 cents. And I'm like, wait, you can make money off this stuff? So right. I entered the market, was learning how to use Coinbase. My first purchase was, funny enough, not Bitcoin, it was ETH.
Oh, wow, okay.
Came from the Forex world, so I was already familiar with pairings. That kind of translated really well. The crazy volatility of a $5 trillion per day market. Just got used to that and understood just the basic principles. I wasn't a genius, but I understood the importance of compounding interest and that power. And the sooner you start, the better. So really the rest is history. Now today I do a YouTube channel. I'm also an advisor for Iron Key Capital. This is a digital asset hedge fund. And just a variety of things. Hoping to get more involved in the real estate market in the future.
Perfect. That's, I feel like that's kind of the final pillar that people delve into when they've set up their other verticals. I've got this investing, I've got my savings account, I've got, my Roth IRA. Now I need to bolster in on, real estate investing. That's kind of like the final frontier, I think, for people when they have a fully well-balanced portfolio. Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about cryptocurrency as a whole, kind of what's going on in these markets. We know that, we had a lot of excitement into 2021. We had so many new participants enter the market in 2021, and a lot of these participants had not seen what had happened in 2018. They don't understand that, you come into this parabolic rise, and within that parabolic rise, you're obviously going to get, a cascading rebalancing on the backside. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. But what are kind of some of your thoughts of where we're at now with the market? What do you think is kind of the expectations of maybe these next 6 months? And then maybe we can talk a little bit about maybe in the next 5 to 10 years.
Sure. So I like to look at investing and I play the worst case scenario in my mind. That way I'm not disappointed, but that way I'm also prepared. So I try to look at this current market and say, what is the absolute worst case? Am I okay with that? I am, because I still see tremendous growth and upside. So whether or not, this cycle is dragged down, we don't see a big bullish cycle until closer towards the next Bitcoin halving, that's okay. I still think that altcoins are going to be, decoupling in the future. And if we haven't seen already the metaverse, a $10 trillion opportunity, in-game items, a $1 trillion opportunity, NFTs, which is digital authentication of anything. This use case is crazy. So we're going to see the market cap of all crypto assets in the dozens of trillions over the next decade, maybe the next 2 decades. But yeah, it's crazy because we were at a $100 billion market cap years ago, just 4 or 5 years ago. That's a 30x. We went to 3 trillion.
That always is the number that gets to me is the market cap, right? I know we're like, oh, we shit off $1 trillion and some change now, but like we have to look backwards and be like, oh my God, we came from $30 billion, $50 billion. And that at the time was like a huge deal, right? Nobody would have expected $50 billion to be in digital assets or digital currencies.
Yep, exactly. And I feel like I succumb to this too. And a lot of my, motivational tweets on Twitter, it's actually self-talk because it helps me. And when prices dump or we witness Bitcoin go 74% down wick to wick from the all-time high, we almost, not that it's Bitcoin, but for altcoins, we almost throw all the fundamentals, all the years of research out the window because we're so focused on that chart. And so it's like, yeah, just zoom out, focus on the fundamentals, and hone in on the quality.
Absolutely. And that's how I really feel about everything that's in my portfolio. I always preach to our members that, I think 6 to 10 major assets is really kind of the max that you need to hold if you pick, some really good quality assets. And that's kind of what I've been focusing on. But, I've really looked at this as an opportunity to hit some milestones with number of coins that I wanted to have before the bull run really kicked off. So I'm really getting the opportunity to get closer to those numbers. And, like when you know what you hold and you understand the value and utility of things like XRP and API3, it's really difficult to even think that you would ever sell at a loss just because it's a temporary financial situation that's uncomfortable, right? Like the USD value attached to it at this exact time doesn't degrade the technology and what they're providing to the ecosystem. But I know that you and I are both really huge on XRP. I came from Forex, which a friend of mine turned me on to XRP, which got me involved in crypto. And XRP was such an immediate fit for me because I know how much money goes through those FX markets every single day. I know how much money is made from those charter banks. It's a massive market. So I used to almost be an XRP maxi. I was not interested in any other coins. Until I kind of started to, explore some other stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, there's stuff outside of even just blockchains now that are valuable and could be valuable in the future. So what are maybe some use cases you see for XRP outside of just remittance payments that you think could be absolutely life-changing?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, so one thing is I always just go back to what David Schwartz and the OGs are saying about this ecosystem that have seen this for so long. And what he said, who was it, Matt Hamilton or David Schwartz, they said that the NFT use case on the XRP ledger, thanks to it being 1,000 times more efficient, would be the biggest use case. And then before that, micro streaming or streaming of micro payments was another massive use case that David Schwartz said could be bigger than the cross-border payment use case. Which huge. Is just baffling. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think when I think about XRP, I know you talk about it. It's something I talk about too, keeping a portion of your bag for life. And I think that's super important that, we don't end up being that guy that, those memes that come out where it's like, sold Bitcoin at 30 cents. Now it's at $30. And, you think that that's the Pico top, but, the reality is you should keep a portion of that for life. I know a couple other assets that you're incredibly bullish on or, HBAR, Casper, API3. As far as API3, can maybe you talk a little bit about how, it measures up to Chainlink or why you're a little bit more bullish on API3 than you are on Chainlink?
Yeah, absolutely. So from the fundamental perspective, I was, in Chainlink at like $1.60, made profit, but nothing crazy. And from Chainlink's all-time low in 2017, it did a 400x from the all-time low price. So from 2017 to May of 21. That's insane. If any asset does a 100x from an all-time low or 400x or, QNT did a 2000 plus x, I want to try to get some profits out, my initial investment, and then look at the younger guys that are close to that all-time low, that are maybe following that accumulation schematic we've talked about. Because, I can show a chart later, an example of like Fantom, just the way it does this charting. So yeah, I basically just rotate out of the ones that did perform, and not all of them do. Sometimes I have to get my losses together and consolidate in quality instead. But I'm focused on assets that are building, have active GitHubs like API3, meaning that they're always putting code commits in that we can see because it's open source. And just really believing in the quality and the investors behind.
100%. And I think that that's the most difficult thing to do when you're in these structures, especially the way API 3 and Casper look right now. They're not sexy charts, right? We don't have a lot of price history to go off of. So when you look at it, you're like, wow, this thing's never going to do anything. But when we compare some of the fractals and we look at other assets that have done incredible explosive moves like Fantom, they look a lot like some of those early fractals, but you just don't know it yet because it's not far enough in the rear view. Did you actually want to pull up your Fantom chart now and kind of show us what you were talking about there?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so
Perfect.
one example is the Bitcoin price chart, just versus the US dollar and Bitstamp, so we have all of that nice price history. My personal opinion is that every altcoin, including ETH, is following some type of fractal that Bitcoin did. So this crashing structure, when Bitcoin did this from the 2013 high, I do believe it's possible there are some altcoins that are following this to a T. Let me show you Fantom. So now with Fantom, all the price history, from 2018 all the way up until 2020, this is when they were building DeFi. There was no price action. Casper's building DeFi right now. Here is the previous low. It created a new low. That's spring. And then it went on to rocket. Now, I'm not saying that every asset has to do a 1,800x return. What I'm saying is I love this probability where it creates the spring and then doing a 10x, a 50x, or 100x in the years ahead from those lows is highly probable. So, I mean, looking at this, we hit the fibs using the wick to wick, the swing high, swing low, breaking through that 236, back test, hitting the the 21 extension, just like a Chainlink fractal, hitting the 3618, comes down, another cup and handle, and goes and reaches the 89, just like Terra Luna before it went to zero. So yeah, I just believe in that potential of, trying to really be conservative with my expectations, but historically, quality assets that survive for several years create an all-time high price.
Absolutely. Now, maybe you can give your opinion on kind of just dino coins in general. We affectionately call them dino coins, right? I know that Blockchain Backer and a variety of other people are very bullish on the dinos because they have so much price history, so much institutional participation. What do you think that happens to maybe some of these dinos like Bitcoin Cash and Zcash in this next cycle? You think that they make it, or you think that they kind of just come up for a retrace and then head back down?
Yeah, I am super fascinated with that. I'm a big fan of Roger Ver of Bitcoin Cash, and I always watch Barry Silbert of Digital Currency Group and Grayscale and his commentary on Zcash. And he, tweeted, I think in November or December, Zcash will hit $1,500. And you question the vested interests and you understand the importance of privacy. Me personally, I do have some Zcash, but I'm going to be heavier focused in assets where I can really see the development ongoing, and their market cap is under $1 billion. I think there's some good opportunity for assets that have a $200 million market cap to do a 5x up to $1 billion.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. By the time a project has come into CoinMarketCap's top 50 coins, it's already exploded to a huge market cap, and it's already done most likely the majority of the move that it's going to do, especially we're in that bullish period. So I think that you're hitting on some very important points there about, the value in a small cap. In the short term, what does that mean? Of course, you're going to have volatility. That's going to be frustrating seeing, for example, API 3, I always call it the wild child, because you'll see a 30-40% spike in one day and it'll just head right back down. And that's kind of the nature of the beast when they are such small caps. But when they really become fully matured and they aren't small caps anymore, well, that's when you get that nice price action like you see in Solana and Fantom and a variety of other assets.
Yep. Yeah. Solana was fascinating. I just know that I was not in Solana early whatsoever. But I do know that a lot of VCs were scooping it up for pennies on the dollar and really just driving a lot of money and, volume behind the ecosystem. But I don't want to really chase and go all in on something that did, 300x or 400x.
Absolutely. Another thing that I know that you talk about with your investing strategies, of course, you dollar cost average, you obviously look to set limits to get more aggressive entries, but you talk a lot about having a fiat reserve bag. And that's something that I try to really instill in our audience, but maybe you can share about maybe some of the opportunities that, you may have missed or have missed because you didn't have as much of a fiat reserve bag.
So I learned that even in March 2020, I was all talk. I said, I'm going to keep cash on the side. And then, prices dumped. I bought it. Prices went lower. I was like, oh, man, I could have scooped some more ETH at like $90 and just went heavier, but I didn't have that much capital. So one thing I do, and I noticed that I experienced this as a retail investor, is when I have money or when I was working my job in cybersecurity, I always basically every paycheck I would just dollar cost average. But then I realized 6 months down the road, the market crashed 40%. I could have doubled my position or nearly doubled
Right.
it by just being patient. So I don't have the perfect entries by any means, but what I do is I'm always having at least 25% of my investment portfolio, my investment net worth in US dollar or maybe USDC. The stable coins are scaring me now, so I did exit
Yep.
Tether to be safe.
Right.
And now I'm kicking myself. I think I told you this joking the other day. I said, man, I just wish at the all-time high price of Bitcoin, I decided to go 50% USD.
Right.
And really, but I got greedy. So
Yep.
it happens.
It absolutely happens. Well, I really appreciate all the insights, Kevin. Anything you want to leave with our viewers, something that you think that could help them weather through this, and especially you coming through this before, we've both been through the last cycle. Any nugget of wisdom you can leave for our viewers?
Yeah, to finish things off is when in doubt, zoom out and just look at the other price charts. Is this something that we've never seen before? How long are we going to be at these ranges at lower levels? Me personally, I either want us to dump really hard so I can make life-changing buys, or I want to get the show on the road to retrace. The most painful path would just be going sideways for another few months. But all in all, yeah, focus on quality, and you don't have to have every single winner. It's kind of a blanket strategy, just like the early Silicon Valley investors. You have one or two big wins, and that's all you need.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. Most billionaires built their wealth in a single vertical, and then they diversified from there. So I 100% agree with that sentiment.